I just want to test my. Presentation check.
कैमरा और ये चालू
Captain Shashi Kumar is there.
अभी ये डिस्प्ले
Can you read you loud and clear? Right.
Shashi.
Loud and clear.
Okay, good, very good. So what I am trying to do is, have you और कौन आया है? माइकल जैकेट और कौन है? देखो जरा नीचे कौन है? कैप्टन मैथ्यू है दोस्त जो है। हाँ नहीं ठीक है।
we will wait for Jana.
Yeah. How is it 2022? This timer is.
Chat इकडेच तुम्ही करणार का पण
Chat मला असं वाटलं होतं की I will be facing them.
Yeah, this will capture whatever whichever you're turning. This will capture only. You want to face then.
If there are 5 people here,
Yeah.
I'll have to face them.
Yes, right. So
then I will capture on the camera. On
then
the
I
screen.
think they should sit this way. And you should when you are speaking, so it will zoom in automatic on your side. Yes, please.
मी तुम्हाला Hello. How are you, sir?
नमस्कार नमस्कार कसं काय how are you
You are the swimmer, no? Long distance swimmer.
I'm organizer basically how's things
Good.
we had met the other day yesterday
No, we met at the Maritime Games.
no but yesterday you were not there
No, I was not there.
where
Sir, all of this you can.
So what do you suggest? Sit there in the focus, or what do you say?
I think that will be better than anyway you are addressing this side.
And the audience also here.
Yeah, whosoever is speaking.
I think that is better. So we sit there.
The whosoever is speaking, camera will zoom.
Huh?
Whosoever is speaking,
That I know. That part I know.
So
I just want to
you will
see
be
that I
facing.
will talk to these people also.
Yeah, so I think those 3 chairs, I think we can take 3, 4
Yeah.
from that side this way.
That will be better.
So I just sit with them.
No, you can talk. You can see, be here, and you can. Show them more.
Correct to me.
on है sir अपना room camera
That camera will focus. These are cameras that focus.
Okay.
Sir, please have a seat.
कृष्णा नहीं हुआ है अपना ही कैमरा चल रहा है
Which is this laptop's name? This is CMMI.
Yeah.
Okay, this is CMMI.
From office. It is.
No, this laptop is which one?
No, this laptop is son's laptop.
No,
नाही नाही ह्याच्यात आहे ना कॅमेरा आपला कुठला आता चालू कुठला आपला कॅमेरा ऑन आहे आपला
मग ऑफ करा ना.
ऑफ करू का
चलो पुढे.
See that? Okay.
Yes.
You're with
Yes.
Send you the pictures. Nostalgia. Stand. How about stand? In the sense, okay.
There camera backside नहीं
Just underneath.
underneath the.
Yeah, it will zoom automatically. You can talk. Whenever you are walking, it will zoom.
No, it's okay.
So you can stand and come.
No, you just be comfortable, sitting or standing, whichever you want to talk, camera will focus. And whatever it is, it will go.
It's a smart camera.
Yeah.
Same thing anyway.
Yeah.
Already block? Entry.
Check.
I'll get
Needs to keep the NPR.
Yeah.
Guess who the second person is? Those are the days.
Okay, I'd like to start the proceedings. I mean, the monthly meeting. Good evening to all of you. I hope you can hear me from whoever is online. Can you hear me? Sashi, can you hear me from wherever you are?
Loud and
Yes,
clear.
we can hear you, sir, loud and clear.
Very
Yes,
good.
can you please zoom in a little bit so that yeah, that's enough. That's enough. Thank you.
Camera will zoom automatically.
Okay, I think I should walk there.
You stand.
Can you see me now?
Yeah, a little far away, but now it's zoomed in. Now it looks good. Okay, fine.
Camera will zoom in. Okay. Good day to everyone. On behalf of the company of Masterminders, it is my pleasure to warmly welcome you all to for today's session. Today's session, human factors demystified from safety 1 to safety 2. A heartfelt thank you to all our participants online and physically present here. Our esteemed speaker, maritime professionals, cadets and colleagues joining us from across and beyond. Your presence truly enriches this session. We are especially honored to welcome Abhijit Balkrishnan to my right, a valued member of CMMI and currently serving as safety manager and DP at Scorpio. He brings with him deep expertise and valuable perspective of the often overlooked yet critical topic of mental health in maritime life. Thank you once again for being with us today. Welcome. We look forward to an engaging and insightful session. I'd like to introduce our master, Captain Basin, to say a few words. Captain Basin, can you please take over? Sashi, is he there?
I don't think he is joined, so you can proceed, sir.
Okay.
You can call him in later on.
Yeah, we can introduce, I believe he's at work in Cochin. Abhijit Balkrishnan is safety manager and designated person ashore at Scorpio Marine Management with over 17 years of sailing experience, including command of VLCC. He transitioned ashore in 2012, taking up roles in maritime training, marine surveying, and P&I correspondence before joining Scorpio in 2017. He holds a master's degree in human factors and system safety from Lund University, Sweden, and is passionate about reshaping how organizations safety approach learning and work. A frequent speaker at international forums, Abhijit is a preferred HOP facilitator, an associate member of CIEHF, and part of the core team establishing the IEA's Technical Committee of Human Maritime Human Factors. He is a strong advocate of human and organizational performance, HOP systems thinking, and learning focused approaches to safety. May I introduce you to Captain Abhijit Balkrishnan? Can you please take over, sir?
Seniors come.
Bhandarkar Saab,
Yeah.
Captain Basin online. Can he say a few words and I think we can hand over to.
Yeah, Captain Basin, sir, he's a master of CMMI. I welcome you to this gathering. Sir, could you please say a few words? Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Bhandarkar, Captain Satya Kumar. First of all, my welcome to Captain Abhijit. He has been with us, giving a monthly lecture earlier and been a part of our master class also. Very entrepreneurial person. His views, and I heard few of his views during our, I think, NMDC seminar when he spoke about how the people, they do everything correctly, but nobody appreciates. But if there's a one mistake, everybody says it's a human error. So I really like the way he projects it. So welcome, Captain Abhijit, sir. And also my welcome to all the participants. I look forward to hearing from all of you. I would request all the participants, be interactive, ask questions. You will enjoy listening from Captain Abhijit. My best wishes to all of you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Captain Basin. Am I audible? Not in the
Yes,
room.
audible here.
They are requesting to increase the volume. We'll just check it. Am I audible now?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Okay, all right. Where are the slides on that screen?
Yeah. You would like to take this?
No, I don't need the slide. I just need to.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. If you can turn it around, I can see the slides. So.
Yeah. Yeah. You have got a changer?
Yeah, I got the changer with you.
So that's the changer connected.
Is this being shared? Can you all see this on my screen? No, the screen is not shared.
I do.
More than 90%.
You can share.
Just share this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you see the presentation?
Yes, you're looking good.
Yeah.
I'm just testing the screen. All right. Okay. Before I begin, I want to express my gratitude to CMMI, to Captain Bhandarkar, Captain Basin. Yeah, maybe you talk. Can have a sitting. No, I prefer standing.
I think you should. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, okay. I want to express my gratitude to CMMI, Captain Basin, Captain Bhandarkar, everyone as Captain Shashi Kumar, especially so because he's been persistently behind me, giving me the confidence to come here and saying that there is some value in in me speaking. So thank you all, sir, and for everyone else. And I also want to express my gratitude to all the seniors on whose shoulders that we stand on, my peers and also the juniors for whom there's a whole new world out there. So by the end of this, human factors, I don't know mental health, sir. That is not my forte. My expertise is in human factors, and I hope to differentiate human factors from everything else that is mental. And by the end of the session, I hope, I will be able to tell you that human factors is all about humans, but then nothing about humans, right? So I think somehow, somewhere, that's the message I sought to I mean, I want to sort of convey at the end of 30 minutes. So I have 30 minutes. I might extend this by about 5 minutes or so, but I'd like to, so if somebody could time me and tell me it is 30 minutes, then I start winding down, or maybe I set up my own timer.
No, it's okay.
Okay, we'll tell you.
Yeah, thank you. So
We give a big shout.
yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe just stop talking. It's too much. Shut up. So yeah, that will work. So I think I'll just set it for 30 minutes and then maybe another 5 minutes. Because I have not timed this presentation, so I'm not sure how long it's going to take me, but I hope it's not much over 30 minutes. Someone click on the screen, just click so.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right. So what you're seeing is just a door. And what do you think about this door? What are you going to do with this? How are you going to operate it?
Pull or push.
Pull or push?
Or sensor,
No idea.
Biometric.
mapping,
Just walk through.
eye scanning sensor.
You need instructions.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you want it, now you're not sure what this is. Do you need to pull? Do you need to push? Do you just walk through? Do you slide? All right. Okay. So what is this door designed for? Entry and exit. Are you able to do it?
No.
Until you know more information.
Yes.
Right? So we are intuitive as human beings. We know there are certain things that we look at and we know this is to be pushed, this is to be pulled or whatever. So here, right now, this door doesn't give us any of those signals. Right? So we might walk into it, we might pull it, we might push it. Right? So before we move on, so I mean, just a short video. Okay, will you push or pull it? Just watch this. This is a short one. So what do we do to make it easy for people to do the right thing?
तो शेट वापस भेजो अरे जो मैसेज फॉरवर्ड कर दो मुझे छुप के देगा
हाँ, yeah,
Use the right tool.
So yeah, this is a video I downloaded from the Interactive Design Foundation on their website. Tried to, with some help with Manoj also, try and get this clip for this meeting. So design of everyday things, right? This is a book that I think we all must read. It's something that I feel must be part of a curriculum somewhere along the way before we become chief officers, or maybe even earlier. So this is written by Don Norman, and he's speaking about design, right? If you look at it on the cover itself, you have how are you going to use the kettle? So it's about doors, it's about design. The moment you've had to put an instruction to a design or something, to an equipment, the moment you've had to give instruction manuals, then the designers have lost something. Designers have lost a chance. So the reason why people are not able to open doors is not because people are not paying attention. It is because the designer could have done a better job. So people are then figuring out what the designer couldn't figure out. So when he's opening the door, the people are figuring out, do I pull this? Do I push this? Do I slide this? Do I do something? So designer has not given that information somehow to the user. And the user is now figuring out. User is now completing the design, so to say. Right? So if you, so and think about when we are in a hurry. Think about when we are confused, when we are just struggling, when we are, in a different frame of mind. Right? And when that makes it even more difficult to operate something that is not intuitive, right? What does this tell you? This is a photograph I took recently in one of the hotels I was staying in. We had gone for the ITOSF seminar in Romania, Mamaia, near Bucharest, not Bucharest, near Constanța. What does this make you do? Yes. Anything more? Does it make you think about something, doing something?
Shoot the ball.
Shoot the goal. So that's human factors, right? Now this is making you do something. The design of this urinal with the ball in between is making you do something, right? This was an original concept that was there in the Schiphol airport, where they put the fly to sort of reduce the mess around the whole thing, right? Do you need instructions for this? So anyways, and now most of us.
The woman goes the shit.
Yeah, I think then the instruction outside the door is a problem.
Unless somebody keeps a glass of beer on top of
It's
the
not
table.
DQ.
I saw an instruction in this particular toilet.
Where?
Yeah.
Here, okay. So the moment you have instructions, the moment you have instruction manuals, which means the designers have missed something. You're having to tell people how to use it, right? The moment you're having to tell people how to use it, at the design stage, we miss something. So, okay, and that is sort of human factors. How do you make it? So this is a panel. I just picked it up of the web. I did not get exactly what I wanted. What do you say about this design? And if you've been on a conventional tanker maybe 10 years ago, this is something you're very, very familiar with.
Yeah, it's a mimic diagram.
It's a mimic diagram, yes. Not just a mimic diagram, it's also got the operating controls for the valves, the push buttons for the valves.
Yes.
What do you say about this design?
It's not so because there are boxes on top of all the
Okay.
controls, yeah.
Okay. Now, if you ask the question, does this make it easy for you to do the right thing?
No?
Yeah, it does.
It does? It helps you make it easy?
Yes,
Okay.
because we used to have these type of boxes to prevent accidents.
No, I'm not talking about the boxes. I'm talking about general, not just the boxes. The boxes, remember, the boxes are not a designer's input.
No.
The boxes is a user's input.
User's
User is having to use the box,
Yes.
which means designer missed something,
Correct.
Yes.
right? So if I ask you the question, is this a good design?
I don't think so.
So because we are so used to it, we are comfortable with it, we've never asked that question. It is always supposed to be like that. We've never asked the question, is this a good design, right? And why I'm sharing this is because something happened with me. I was made, right? I was supposed to discharge from 3 wings and 6 wings. Guess which tanks I discharged from. And this is sort of my representation of the panel I had. I did not get a photograph of that. It was a VLCC way back in 2004, I think. One of my earlier ships as chief mate. We were in the US loop. We were discharging 5 grades. On a VLCC, that's the first time I think I carried 5 different parcels for 5 different receivers. So 3 wings and 5 wings I was supposed to, and 6 wings I was supposed to discharge. Which tanks did I discharge from? I discharged from 3 wings and 6 wings. Right? Now, it is so difficult for us to say that this is a bad design. And I'm not saying this is a bad design. This is a design we're used to. Now, compared to this, does this make it easier to not make a mistake? Does this make it easier to do the right thing? Did you see the shift?
Yes.
So in this tank, if you see, there is 5 wings and 5 center, which is both abreast of 5 center, right? So in my mind, I was possibly thinking in hindsight that next to 5, okay, this is 6, this is 5, let me press that. And I pressed the wrong valve. I discharged for 2 hours from the wrong tank. And until the second mate went to take the hourly record and he saw it is not comparing with the plan, and that's when he told me that, there's a screw up. And that was honestly the worst day of my life. I was hiding in the duty mess room. And then I felt good after some time. I came back, captain spoke to me and all that. He was a Korean captain, Captain Kim. He came, spoke to me. I felt okay. I started continuing the discharge and everything else. Things were okay. I was feeling good. Now at the alleging stage, the surveyors, there are 5 people walking with me and they start talking to me and they said, don't worry, you'll get a job. So they were sure that I'm going to lose my job. I did not, because I discharged about 30,000 barrels from the wrong tank. So the point again I'm making is, how do you make it easy for people to do the right thing? There's something as simple as keeping all the tanks abreast will make it easy for the user to understand that 5 wings is abreast of 5 center. Right? And why I'm also saying this is because Normal Accidents. This is written by Charles Farrow. Is another book that I feel that we should be reading if you want to understand accidents and safety and everything else. He's the only person who's devoted an entire chapter for maritime on all of the safety authors. He calls our industry error-inducing industry. Do you think the previous design induces an error?
It does.
So that's something that, I just wanted to bring another sort of, I can keep putting up books that in case you want to read, maybe something you can take up.
When you're saying design, you're talking about ergonomics.
Human factors is ergonomics. We'll get there, sir. We'll get there. You sort of finish my lecture actually. My point is made. So my point is made. Human factors is what you said it is. Recognize this?
World War II?
World War II, yes.
Dakota. Yeah, the.
I don't know if it's Dakota, sir, but yeah.
Sparrow, right?
It's a B-17.
Yeah, D7.
B-17, Bravo 17, right? And these were called flying fortresses. These were like, it can go anywhere, sustain any kind of damage, but it can come back. This was what the US Air Force used, and this was based out in the UK at this time, and they were bombing in Germany. So it was flown, it was a pride, so to say, of the US Air Force, the best thing that we've ever made. No damage can damage it in the sense that it will return home. And it almost always returned home. But when it returned home, it crashed while landing. What do you think may have cost it? Why do you think it crashed? The best people, the fighter pilots are the best people, right? They actually call the helicopter pilots truck drivers, but they're the best people. They're manning the best aircraft, and they just can't land. They're bombing all over Germany, coming back, but they can't land.
Maybe complacency.
Complacency.
Overexcitement.
Overexcitement after having done all of these things.
Get the landing gear out.
He's forgotten to get the landing gear out. Okay. So how do you land? What do you first do? You lift the flaps.
Yeah.
And then you lower the landing gear.
Yeah.
Right? So there are two actions that you do before you land. Right? Now this was happening in the US Air Force. There were like 17 or 20, I don't know the numbers. There were a large number of aircraft that were lost. Many of them scrapped, could not be used again. Right? So they went to somebody called Chapanis, Alphonse Chapanis. He was a psychologist, young guy, just passed out of college. Right? And he went and he sat with the pilots. He sat in the cockpit. He spoke to people. Right? And he found something. The aircraft stopped crashing after that. What do you think he did? It was pilot error. Everybody was just, why can't pilots just land properly? Why are they complacent? Why are they overexcited?
Maybe there is no interconnect between the flap and the landing gear.
There was no interconnect. I don't know if there should be, but maybe there wasn't. I'm not, I don't have the competence to, either refute or answer that. So this were the controls, right? The flap and the landing gear were next to each other. And they were almost like this. And this is representative, but so to say, there were two levers like this. How easy is it to do the wrong thing?
Very.
Yeah.
What did Japanese do?
Separate them.
And this is even now, in most of the aircrafts, this is a standard sort of a design for flaps and landing gear. Which among this is landing gear?
The wheels.
The wheels. We didn't need to be a pilot to know that. So the moment you hold this, you know that I'm holding the landing gear. Right? So the pilot, in the cases wherever it crashed, like you said, they didn't lower the landing gear because they were pulling the flap back. Right? They were using the wrong lever that they had to use. So they had to first lift the flap up, then they had to lower the landing gear. They lifted the flap up, and instead of lowering the landing gear, they pull the flap back down. So there is nothing, it just comes and crashes. Right? So what was pilot error became design error. So World War II was one of those times when a lot of research went into design and went into what is now called human factors or ergonomics. A lot of money was spent there. So whole thing is about Japanese making it easier for pilots to do the right thing and difficult to do the wrong thing. Yes, sir.
You recall the old radars, the big radars?
Yes, sir.
They had those blue
Yes.
thing, and you would put your hands in
And you would
this thing, and all those
on the side.
marking, yes, and all of them you could operate the radar at night with the visibility. Why? Because you knew knurling is this, new knurling, and that's how you knew it. You were used to it. And at night you could operate the radars. I mean, all the controls, it's so easy.
So that would be a good design for me.
Huh?
That would be a good design where you really are not able, not making a mistake.
Then you had very few controls on the radar. You had just the tuning you never touched.
5, 6
It was
buttons.
no, the tuning you never touched. But once you have tuned it,
Range.
it was only your range and your EVF. That's all you had. You didn't have many.
So sometimes if it rains outside, you have to adjust that clutter again. But you are, see, what I'm saying is you are used to those controls in darkness. You're feeling those buttons.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Thank you, sir. Because what you just discussed, right, there were fewer controls, and now there is this whole paradox of increasing complexity. That means the more controls that come into a radar, it just becomes even more difficult to operate and even more easier to make a mistake. So that's.
Can I say something?
Yes, please, sir.
I mean, we've been driving cars for 25 years now.
Yes.
I mean, earlier we used to have this Ambassador and Fiat and all that. Now we drive CRV and with the latest cars and everything. I mean, once you get into the car, you go and buy a car or take a car on rent. It takes you about 20 minutes to understand which.
More than that.
I mean, at least.
You have to do 2 days course.
Without how to take a car out. I mean, you don't know which button, and it's all nowadays with that electronic one is even worse because you don't know which screen is coming on where. And half the time, I can guarantee you, we don't know still 50% of the controls.
Correct.
You don't even need to learn.
Go driverless.
So that makes more sense not buying that car.
Yeah.
You know, you spend 3 times the cost that you will get for a better car, which you can easily handle.
True. So these are all design issues, I mean,
No,
exactly
this
like you said.
particular example was also one of the points put out by that expert American pilot who said probably they used the wrong
Funny.
the one which crashed in Ahmedabad.
Okay.
So this was point of discussion.
So this is what human factors is. How do you make it easier for people to do the right thing? How do you make it difficult for people to do the wrong thing? Okay, human factors demystified. That's it. Can you answer that question? Yeah. What's the choice?
Make it easier for you.
No, I want to choose either confirm or understood.
If it is green, then probably it should be understood.
Does this make it easier?
We have to define what is being
Yeah,
given.
because confirm is something
We are still understand.
abstract.
I know. So is this easier to answer?
Yes.
That's human factors. If you make it easier for people to do something in whatever way, I draft this question and you have people scratching their head. Do I press confirm? Do I press understood? What gives me marks? This one, I know you know, I know yes. No is red, yes is green. It is also intuitive. So, okay, human factors, you already brought out it is ergonomics, but human factors was not easy to define. So human factors, it began in the early 1940s around the World War when they started saying there are a lot of people coming in. We need to, train them. We need to make them better. We need to see what was happening. And initially it was about pilot and pilot error and all that, and slowly it started becoming about design. And that's when ergonomics as a scientific discipline began to emerge, right? And then you started forming societies. About 10 years later, you had the Ergonomics Research Society, you had the European Productive Agency, all of that come, right? Now, as it is current, the IEA, which I mentioned that we are working to make a maritime HF technical committee, of which I happened to get a chance to get in there. So they started in 1961. They couldn't come to a definition until 2000. They didn't even want to define. They were saying this is such a diverse field.
Yes.
There is just so many things in this. How do you make one definition for this? It's just so many things that comes into it. How do you define it? Let's just leave it as it is. It's a struggle to define. So in 1997, you had a new president of the IEA who made it his mission that we will come up with a definition. And he wasn't getting support. Everybody was still telling him, but he was so insistent, so perseverant that he drafted the first thing. He said, "Ye to padh lo. I made it already for you." And it took another 3 years for them to agree. So why I'm telling you this is because although they were there since 1940s, they couldn't agree on a definition till 2000. And this is the definition they've agreed upon, right? It's a discipline, first of all. It's understanding the interactions among every part of the system, not just humans and humans, but humans and machines, machines and machines, machines and the environment and everything. Every single part of the system, how do they interact? And it is a profession. It is a profession. There are human factor experts. I'm sorry, a lot of people are writing on LinkedIn, they're human factor experts, thinking that psychology is human factors. Human factors is not psychology. Human factors is a lot of discipline coming together, right? So this is what the definition is. And on their website itself, coming to Krishnan, your point of view, they say, hello? Oh, Abhidi is here. Yeah. Hi, Abhidi. So here you see, they mean the same thing. Ergonomics and human factors mean the same thing. And why is difference between human factors and ergonomics? There were two separate sort of fields developing, one in the US, one in Europe. In Europe, they were more concerned with the design of the chair. I mean, in the sense, ergonomics. How do we design stuff for people? In the US, it was a lot about people's cognition. How is cognition affected? How do they best use their cognition? And use their cognition to make sense of what is around them. So both of them are finally trying to do the same thing, understanding cognition and making work better. Designing a good chair or designing this thing and making work better. And they found there were synergies. And they found, and finally, that it is the same thing, right? That is how nowadays they say HF/E. If you look at people on LinkedIn or wherever who are HF professionals, you will find them write HF/E, HFE, HF ergonomics. So they're saying, doesn't matter where you are from, I am doing HF, I am doing ergonomics. It's the same thing, right? And you really don't have to separate it, right? So this is what HF is. And this is from the IEA website. It's all of these things, right? It's physical, cognitive, organizational factors, everything. So you need to sort of understand physiology. You need to understand biology, anthropometry. You need to understand psychology. You need to understand all of these things. And what this is coming to is about systems thinking. Systems thinking, meaning don't simply look at the parts, right? It is not a person failing. It is not a machinery part failing. I mean, it is, of course, and you can maybe fix it, but that doesn't solve the problem. To solve the problem, you need to look at the system. You need to look at, You need to look at a much larger view of the entire thing. So all of these things, like everything, right? Biology, physiology, psychology, engineering, and everything comes together to form human factors and ergonomics, right? And it is based on the fundamental of systems thinking. I don't know. I'm not familiar with my slides because I made it in a hurry. Yeah. So that big definition is there. But for me, this is my definition, so to say. But this is the definition of human factors. Human factors / ergonomics, HF/E. Right. Just move the slide. Just touch the screen. I think it's moving out of it for some reason. Okay. I went a lot ahead. Yeah. And it is about fitting the worker to the work. And this is not my definition. This is somebody else's. I picked it up from that interview of the president. He's saying, okay, we have given this big definition, but it can be as simple as this. Right? It's about fitting the worker to the work. So sorry, the other way around. I made a mistake. Yeah, I made a mistake. Correct. Yeah, sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
So nobody take photographs of this, please. Okay. So this, huh?
You're human after all.
So when you have to do your day job, when you have to deal with everything, and you also have to make a slide, then my cognition is limited. It is not 100% here. But yes, now this is what human factors is. I mean, do we have an understanding of what human factors is? Yes. So it's about making it easy for people to do the right thing. It's a discipline. It's a profession, right? It's about making it difficult for people to do the wrong thing. It's not anything about psychology. It is not about people's attitudes. It is not about complacency. It is not about any of those things. It is about what is around people. right? Which is what I said in the beginning, while human factors is all about humans, by the end, I hope to make it not about humans. Right? It is so much about humans that it is not about humans. So having said that, the second part of the presentation is about safety 1 to safety 2. I have only 5 minutes. So safety 1 to safety 2, I'm trying to, because I think I'm quite sure that most of us have heard of safety 1, safety 2, all of those things, resilience engineering, cognitive systems engineering, HOP. There are a lot of system safety. There's a lot of those words that are going around, right? But here I'm just speaking about safety 1 to safety 2. I'll sort of take you on a journey from sort of when this began to when it is right now. There is a lot of people fighting with each other, safety 1 or safety 2 or whatever it is, right? And because of that, I have referred to a paper written by Lacoste. Lacoste is a French, he writes a lot of papers and he's... and what I am trying to say is I'm trying to use his paper to explain the history, right? So these are people around the 1970s. So 1970s was the time when computers and every software and all, the complexity started increasing. There were a lot more things. Now people, they had to focus on design. They had to focus on people making mistakes. So errors started becoming a lot more important for people to study. So around this time, people started studying errors. People are making mistakes, right? They started studying them. One of the earliest people to actually study them, at least in this post-1970, because cognitive system engineering or cognitive systems was not a study that was there earlier than that. So Rasmussen, Denmark, Reason, UK, there were 2 people who were studying this in their own independent ways, right? What was Reason doing? Reason was studying his own errors. And that began, he was somebody who studied, his doctoral thesis was on motion sickness, just for your information. So he started studying his own mistakes. So he started it began when he started making coffee. One day he was making coffee and his cat comes and starts meowing. The cat is hungry. What does Reason do? Reason scoops up cat food and puts it into the coffee. And then he realizes, oh, I made a mistake. And then he started recording his mistakes in a diary. And then he went out to his family, his friends, and then slowly a research. So that's how Reason went about studying errors. Rasmussen was observing people. He was observing engineers troubleshoot. How are they making their decision? How is that they are making their mistakes or those decisions or whatever else? And they came up with different theories of error, right? So Reason was looking at, I don't have it there, but Reason, okay, maybe in the next slide. So Reason was looking at a taxonomic view, which means give names to errors. So this is a slip, this is a trip, this is a mistake, this is a lapse, right? Rasmussen was talking about an ecological view. In the sense, he's understanding how people are being affected by what is around them, right? And he talked about degrees of freedom, which means people, so around here, I just put it there. So this are, I mean, you can't see them, but to understand that there are certain boundaries within which people work, right? Boundaries by cost, for example, boundary by effort, for example. All of these boundaries influence the person inside the space. And the person has degree of freedom to move around here. So he can spend money till it goes there. He can push effort till it goes here, right? All of this to come to an acceptable performance. So he said errors are a way of people learning stuff, not necessarily, and it is usually retrospective in the sense they cross the boundary of acceptable performance, something has happened, and now everybody will say you made an error. So error is usually recognized retrospectively, and that is something that Rasmussen said, right? Anyway, these people were working together, right? After them came Woods and Hollnagel, right? Based on this thing, they started talking about, these people are currently alive. Reason passed away this year. Rasmussen maybe a few years earlier. But these Woods and Hollnagel and Decker are very active, even currently alive. So they started working together and they came up with cognitive systems theory. They spoke about how cognition is in the wild, not in the mind. So which means I am thinking something, I am doing something, but it's not purely in the mind. I am affected by what is around me. So if you want to understand the mistake I'm making, don't only look into my mind, look at what is interacting with me, what I am interacting with, what is influencing me. So it is not enough to say you made a mistake. We need to understand what led to that. In the sense, I wouldn't say led, because led looks like a linear line, but all of those things that influence that person. All right. So that's what they came up to. And they sort of, they worked together in some ways with Rasmussen. And that is what I'm showing in the previous slide. So they had some sort of a collaboration they two had, and these three had. And this came up with sort of resilience engineering and all that. Decker was the guy who was working with, it was a student of Woods. And Decker is the most flamboyant of, is this on YouTube live? Oh. Sorry, anyways, I think it's okay. So Decker is the most flamboyant of them. He's got videos, he's got movies, he writes books for fun, right? He does all of that. But he was Wood's sort of student, and he wanted to, how do you say, popularize the concepts that Woods and Hollnagel were coming up with, right? And he started going out, he started writing stuff, right? So for him, it became, sorry, it might take maybe a little more than 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Sorry. So yeah, so now, like I said, these people were talking about cognitive system engineering, cognition in the wild and all that stuff, understanding that cognition is not only here, it is also outside, right? This guy comes along, Decker comes along, he makes it a lot more popular, he talks to people, his books are all over, he's on video, he's on TV, he's got a movie, Safety Differently, right? All of that happening. Now, Woods and Hollnagel, now they are differentiating their view from them in some ways. So the older view of error is changing. They're coming with a new sort of a view. So they say ours, that is a conventional view, right? They call them the conventional view and the new view, just to sort of differentiate it, right? Just to say that what was before and what was now. What does Decker do? He says new and old. So new and old, it is sort of saying the old is old. It is not conventional, it is not a different one, but it's an older one, not as good, so to say. He sort of deepened the divide between these various schools of thought, right? So that sort of happened. And why I'm saying that is because if you are familiar with the safety industry now, there's a very strong sort of a very deep divide between these two schools of thought, right? The traditional safety one and the more recent safety two. Sorry. So then Hollnagel proposed as safety 2. He said, what we are proposing is called safety 2, right? As opposed to safety 1, which is the earlier view. So safety 1 and safety 2, they were two sort of the states, right? And that also, Decker came up with another one. He said, new view safety, safety differently. So Decker has got safety differently, Hollnagel has got safety 2, right? And all of them together have got resilience engineering. Now, resilience engineering came about sometime in the 2000s. It also sort of came into our industry. Resilience came up into our industry, but basically it's quite different from what we are expected to do and what actual resilience engineering is. So, okay, safety 1, safety 2, don't want to spend so much time on it, but primarily here we see in safety 1, we see people make mistakes with their cognition, we need to fix them. Here they say that we need people to try and complete the design. Remember the door? So to open a door, it is not enough to simply make the door. People have to there and figure out, should I open, should I close, what do I do? Do I need to put a sticker there saying pull or push? All of that, somebody has to figure out. So people figure that out there, right? Here, accidents are caused by failures and malfunctions. We need to identify that particular cause, what failed. Here it is about understanding the conditions. The purpose of the investigation is to understand the conditions that caused whatever happened. So that is the primary sort of difference. People are assets there, people are liabilities. So liability is there, people are assets there. People are the reason for mistakes. Here, people are the reason for success. Right? A different way of framing it. Right? Now, I think this is what I think in some ways what Captain Bhasin also referred to. Now, if you look at our work day, if you look at our industry, if you look at a ship that you're running, almost everything goes right. Almost everything goes right. But we don't know that, or we don't care about it. We care about only those that goes wrong. So when there is an investigation, when there's an incident, we have an entire investigation team going and looking at it. When things go right, we just expect it to be so. You are supposed to be doing that way. And that is another difference Hollnagel made before, that it is not different. The outcomes might change, but people are doing same things. The way they're processing information on that. So this is something that I just, what are we learning from? We're learning from mostly from what goes wrong, but there is just so much in what goes right. These are two concepts I thought I'll explain just for reasons, I don't know, I put it in the last moment. So local rationality and ETTO, I'll explain. So local rationality is people make sense of what is around them. We need to understand that local rationality. Yours is different from mine. Anybody's is different from us, right? And depending on their goal, they make sense of what is around them and they decide what to do, right? And ETTO is our expectation of doing a perfect job. Efficiency versus thoroughness. Efficiency means doing the most with the least resource. I want this job done yesterday. That's efficiency. I want this job done well or perfectly. That is thoroughness. So efficiency and thoroughness cannot go together. You always will have to make some compromise. If I have time, yes, I will spend as much time as I can. Maybe if I'm an artist. But if I'm working in a shipping company, I need to submit an investigation report tomorrow. I don't have time to be thorough. If I try to be thorough with an investigation report, the ship remains on hold for how many ever days we take to make an investigation report. So there is always that trade-off. And this also happens at the workplace. And not just on the ships, even in the office. And this is not just only for people on the ship. This is also for everybody. All these principles are not only for people who work on the ship. Now, I spoke about how Decker went and started popularizing all of those concepts of Woods and Hollnagel, especially Woods. Now here, then we had, what's his name? Conklin, sorry, yeah, Todd Conklin. Todd Conklin is another guy who's gone around and popularized it even more, right? He's talked about the 5 principles of human and organizational performance, which you might be familiar with on social media as HOP, H-O-P. And I think in the introduction, so I was actually asked to introduce this to Bunge. Bunge is the company that makes Vanaspati. They took over some arms, an American company. They're doing that in India. So they had sort of reached out and asked me to facilitate an introductory section for them, which I did around 5 plants in India. Right? But anyways, so these are the 5 principles. The 5 principles are people make mistakes, blame fixes nothing, learning is vital, contextualized behavior, how we respond matters. Now this can take an entire day to sort of debate and understand. I will leave it here, not leave it here, I will move on, but I'll just introduce these 5 principles and say that these 5 principles are what we need to look at the world with. So when a person is making a mistake, if something happens on board, we need to look at it from the perspective that that mistake is not intentional. That the mistake is something that happened because of the circumstances and conditions that person was in. So that is a shift that needs to come. The second is blame fixes nothing. Blame fixes nothing means by telling that person, by blaming that person, you're not improving anything because one person will be replaced by another person. Think about the door again. If you don't change the door, if not me, somebody else is going to come and open it wrong. Somebody else is going to come and bang into it. Right? So by blaming doesn't fix it. I need to change the door, or at the most come up with this thing saying push or pull. At least that I need to do, and then maybe it becomes a little more easier. But again, when I'm in a hurry, maybe I pull instead of push, even if it is written push there. Right? Learning is vital. I think that's quite obvious. Contextualized behavior. It is what everything. It is like going into a supermarket. If you go into a supermarket, that is an example Conklin gives in his book. Deciding to buy 1 packet of milk, what do you come out with? Right? So, and that's willpower, you might say, but then even willpower is not fully understood. Maybe Captain Achyutan can talk more about it, but that's also something that not understood. How do you have the willpower to do the right thing? Right? How you respond matters. Now, when leaders come up, when anybody comes up to you and gives you a bad news, how do you respond? When the third mate calls for the master on the bridge, what does the master tell him? So that would depend, that would dictate how the third mate behaves the next time. So how you respond matters. So all of these are sort of principles that we need to look at the world with, in a different lens, a different frame of mind. There's nothing to change in our industry. Our industry is okay. We just need to look at things differently. Right? Sorry. Having said that, what is all of that trying to achieve? Or what will all of that try to get at? Now, Ivan Pupulidi, he works with the US Forest Services. He's a lecturer, he's a professor also. He developed an investigation methodology called learning reviews and everything else. But one of the things that he says is this, that information is the currency of safety. If you see the blue and red circle, the blue circle with the red thing, all we are knowing is the red bit. We need to know the blue, the entire blue. That's information. That information is not reaching you. If you really need to improve conditions at work, that needs to reach us. And that's why information becomes the currency of safety. Now, someone else said, I think it is reason that trust is the lubricant for information. So if you want people to talk to you, they need to trust you. It's very easy for us to say, seafarers are lying. They don't trust us. Why would they? What are we doing? How are we setting the context for them? What are we asking them? How are we responding to them? What kind of emails are we sending to them? And this is actually proven in research, or at least research points to it. I can't say proven in research. So this research was done in the Australian mines, where they very clearly said that unless the mistrust of the workforce can be overcome, even the most well-intentioned initiatives will be treated with cynicism. Have you introduced a new program in your company and listened to what people are talking about it? And this is also not just the Australian mines, it is also something that was done by BP. So there is research by BP, paper by BP, employees of BP who've done this research and who found out that trust is that one important factor that is an indicator of the outcomes you want. Whatever you want, the outcome you want, whatever it may be, if you want a reliable indicator, कि ये outcome मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा, trust is that indicator, not your what is it? LTIF and TRCF and all of that. Okay, so this is. I'm sorry, I've taken a little too long, but basically I'll just leave it here. So this is how you look at it traditionally. This is how you look at it with HOP. Basically, what I want to say is the questions change, right? The questions here and here will be, why did you not do this? Who did not report? Why did you? I mean, all of those questions sort of going to the person. And here it will be, what were the conditions that led to this event? What made it difficult? How can we get better? So these are the different ways you can ask a question. And to ask these questions, it is not easy. To ask these questions, you need to sort of completely accept those 5 principles, completely accept the system thinking, completely accept that information is currency of safety, and that trust is the lubricant for information. Okay, I think, yeah. So for me, that is it. So what can we do? Yeah. So we can ask different questions. We can be empathetic and we can build trust. And this is going to improve safety, if that's what, because safety is also something that we debate on what is safety. But anyways, so this is something that will help us build safety, help us understand work. And this is something that will sort of bring about that human factor thing, right? Human factors is not human element, and that is misunderstood. That is misunderstood because human element, I can't say because human element also, okay, that's another discussion. Sorry, I did not bring that up, but maybe we could have another discussion on that. So this is a book, again, so I've sort of, I've summarized all those books that I've put there. So at least these are 3 books that I've referred to in this presentation. And these 2 are very easy to read. Humble Inquiry and Design of Everyday Things. This is a little dense, but I think these are books that that will help us sort of understand not technical human factors, because that's a different subject altogether. There are textbooks for that. So these are not textbooks, but this sort of understands, as an accident investigator, for example, or an auditor, this understands the whole influence of how people's behavior is influenced by design. And this talks about how you get into a better relationship with that person. How do you build that second and third level of, I forgot what he exactly says, but how do you build that relationship so that that person, the next time he speaks with you, he's a lot more comfortable, he's a lot more trusting, right? And these are people, that's Rasmussen, this is Hollnagel, this is Woods, and that is Decker. So that's it. Thank you so much. Open to questions, challenges.
You
Very nice.
at least 60 to 70% you made us realize we have to go from 1 to 2. And I'm sad to say it's not yet there. We are nowhere near looking at what is happening in the industry.
Yeah, yes. But I think I also recognize that there are a lot of people trying to make the shift. So there is talk in the industry. Now, for example, the OCIMF talks about human factors in their SIR 2 program, although grossly misinterpreted. But in the human factors in their original book, they actually define human factors correctly. But then somewhere along the way, they lose direction because it's not easy because they're sending out an army of inspectors. And it's very difficult for all of them to sort of understand the principles of human factors. And then it becomes about the person. But I think there is work in the industry, but I don't know if the industry wants it actually, sir. I'm cynical. I don't know if the industry wants it.
Can I say something?
Please, sir.
Now, because of the door example which you gave, right? Over a period of time, the thought process, I mean, I've read a couple of, but the thought process in the industry is slowly changing.
It is.
The thought process now is why human? Why human? If at all you're walking through that particular door, if it is automated, okay? So most doors become automated. Now I'll give you a small example. I was landing in Helsinki and at 10:30 at night, and we have to drive 3.5 hours to Porvo. 3.5 hours to Porvo. And it was night at 10:30. When the driver there, the law says that you can be drunk and driven, right? You cannot drink and drive. Now, this lady driver who had come to pick up from the transport company, she opens the door of the car, she keeps my luggage, opens the door. She has to go through her, through the alcohol meter. That alcohol meter will trigger the signal for her to start the ignition. Sorry, no human interference. You don't go through, the car won't start. And that record is gone to the police or wherever it is being recorded, wherever it is gone. So, over a period of time, what's happening out here is the human mistake. Human beings are bound to make mistakes.
Yes, sir.
There is
That is one of the basic
there
points.
is no, I mean, you can do whatever you want. It depends on your state of mind sometimes. I mean, you might be doing the right thing all the time, but when your state of mind is not good, something is wrong, you're thinking about something, you're bound to make. To correct that, things need to be devoid of an human intervention. And that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean, that's a little far away too, but yes, that's what it is.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
You spoke of confused states. Times you're in a hurry, you're
Yes,
thinking on so many, you're multitasking. You see the door as pull, but you push.
Yes, you might.
It's out of something that is confusing you that might happen.
Yes, it might.
And here, it not necessarily be in the education, it not necessarily be in how you design the door. It is about the state of mind of the user. So that becomes a very critical thing, and mostly on ships, you make errors because of that. If the person on board is so pressurized, absolutely, he is bound to make a mistake which is so silly.
I agree, sir. And not just on board. Even here.
Even here. Driving a car.
I don't think we should separate the mistakes people make on board from our mistakes.
Yeah.
Because then what happens is we say they make mistakes and we don't. I mean, I'm not saying that, but you could have that distinction. I would say anybody. What you said, but the mistakes there might be graver because they're living in a more hazardous environment than we are. But the mistakes might be made, but the consequence might be a lot more there. So we might be just as tired, just as confused, just as disoriented. But thankfully, we are not, near an enclosed space or near a moving machinery.
Exactly.
So yes, that is the difference there, not the mistake. Mistake, I think, or the tiredness, both of us. The difference, I think, in my view, is they have exposure to more hazardous conditions than which lends to, incidents or cutting fingers and all that.
And another thing I'm thinking myself, behavior.
Yes, sir.
Is also dependent on your upbringing. Several times you do things which you are used to. Suppose you are in India, you go to a Japanese environment. They are used to doing something in their way.
Yes, sir.
Found in that environment.
Absolutely. So what we are doing right now is not me right now. I'm 49. I'll be 49 soon. 49 years behind me. I don't look that old, sir.
I don't want to believe that you.
So that will affect your. So I mean, it's almost 49 years behind me and where I was and what my parents were, what my education is. So all of that is coming to me right now. So I cannot behave right now in this moment void of all of that experience. Same thing with everyone else. So yes.
You're mentioning a calendar age, biological age, or
No.
I said days.
I didn't know that Sashi was younger than you.
Shashi is older, sir. Shashi is older.
Sir, about that
So
graph,
please, sir, Abhijit, sir.
whatever it is, your guru today, Guru Purnima. So the graph that you showed, that red patch,
Yes, sir.
I today also the companies, all of us come here, I have full faith and confidence, and I say that people only look at the red. Nobody in this room will admit that they are looking at the blue as well.
Exactly.
Very few.
I
can even, you can't count on your one hand also.
I agree with that, but I also think
that is absolutely true. So if there is a small
Sir, I am very strong
we
believer
start investigating by saying that chief engineer was like that, that captain was like that. So
It's a good concept.
how do we get out from?
so. That is where you come in, sir, with willpower and everything else.
People want to know.
you have to come with your sentence.
Not possible.
So I would
Sir,
put it in a different way.
That's where we fail. When you say it's not possible, that's.
I tell you day for yesterday example. Day for yesterday, I was one of the vessel in Rotterdam. I was going for the talent navigations and blah blah many things. The master was called up many times in Rotterdam. The vessel was proceeding to take the pilot to go for bunkering inside the Europort, Rotterdam. Master was getting called from the operation department. The vessel is up. Friday is approaching. The vessel will not get this thing. So you have to be the three loading plans, three or four loading plans. He said, sir, you are next master. He said, yeah, I was 11, I quit sailing, I went to the shore side. I said, please be there in the third officer. Take the vessel to the pilot. I am just going there to. This is the pressure on the master today. So tell me how it's possible to get rid of all those things.
He should not. If you want to go to the blue, you cannot. He should not leave the blue.
We can have so much decision.
Yeah.
It's shown a failure on our part that's how we have
So
trained.
that was so much pressure in the operating department that you have to give me this thing, otherwise the
Everything not happened nowadays. No, by the way, I can tell you one thing.
The day first day I'm talking, but just I landed yesterday evening.
Yeah, but I can tell you something. In
And vessel now, just master called me up.
told
Sir, vessel is fixed, loading ready scheme, going to Punjab.
आपको कुछ बोलना होगा?
With due regard to whatever you say, I mean, how did you react?
I would not have taken it.
How did you react?
No, I haven't reacted to anything. This is well planned, activities were well planned, all systems place is there, they're well listing. I've also seen that, I also.
Did you take over?
How can I take over as the third person? I have to take over.
Exactly.
You can't take it. How can you take it?
Anyway, what is HOP? Is it got a
Human and organizational performance. Human and organizational performance. So it is. So for HOP. So after Chernobyl. So Chernobyl was one of those incidents when the International Nuclear INPO. I'm sorry, I don't know the full form. After the investigation, they came up with safety culture as a cause. That's the first time safety culture came into the discourse for all of us on Chernobyl. And for them, it was easy to do that because they were talking about Russians. And after that, they came up with a list of human performance principles. And from that list is where someone like Todd Conklin has sort of distilled it and brought it to 5, so that it is sort of more easily communicated. Because Conklin is a masterful communicator. When you watch his videos, he has a lot of sessions. He doesn't look very not Decker-like. He's with a spot and everything else, but he communicates very well. And he's distilled those into those 5 principles and made it popular, and that is how it has come to be known as the 5 principles of HOP.
Yeah, that is the Todd.
Todd Conklin.
The other one is Tim Autry.
Okay.
Taken the 6R safety culture.
Okay.
So this one is quite popular in that one. How we reduce human error at risk and what we cannot.
I'm sorry, he wanted to ask.
Yeah, just before. I want to congratulate you for the amazing work which you're doing and in the direction I can see that. And there's a lot I want to interact with you. I really don't know whether
So include this in. Today there's no time. Today is already.
So, but I think you should address some question maybe there in the chat.
Oh, yes.
Just question and some comments, but somebody has raised a hand. Captain Philip, you like to say something? Please unmute yourself.
Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, good afternoon, good evening, Captain Abhijit. A wonderful presentation. Excellent, I would say. But thing is that some 40% of it has gone over my head because I am not so proficient in this thing. But of course, now my query is, and it is, I really admire whenever, and I would love to be there personally. But what I would like to ask a simple question is, see, most of the times we find that, like my friend Kaustubh just mentioned, there is a diversion in the mindset of people, both ashore and on board, when they are supposed to be doing focused work. Something, pulls them away and their mind gets, distracted from what they have to do. And that really may causes some mistakes. What would we do to train the people to, get some remedial actions for this? And also, I would like to know, like to make a difference in an organization, how do you go about interactive sessions, having seafarers and the shore staff together? Because otherwise, to convey this human factor thing, which should be the ideal way, becomes very difficult. I find that I am today in the office, I find that, when there is a problem in the office, we try to put it on the poor seafarers and try to say, oh, chief engineer ko nikalo, master ko nikalo. Similarly, on the ship, the reverse happens. But the thing is that in shore always gets the upper hand. So these things, how can we put practically to, change the outlook today on board? Thank you.
Thanks, Ken Philip. For me, the first one, I have no knowledge to answer that question. All I would say is human factors is not really attempting to change mindsets. That's a more larger spiritual sort of attempt. And I like I said before also, I think we sort of think that all of this happens only to people on the ship. But this losing focus, losing attention, being tired, making mistakes, all of this happened to us also. And if I may, one of the reasons for things going off your head may be because you were preoccupied with something. I'm just putting that. I'm saying it is possible. It is possible that we are all preoccupied with something, unable to give a 100% focus on what we want to do at that time. Because nobody really wants to get injured. Nobody really wants to get harmed. Nobody in their right mind, knowing that hot water is going to come out of the pipe, will open it. So there are a lot of other things that are influencing them. If people are not able to give time to their current job, there is something else on their mind. And there is a lot of other factors that is coming in. So for me, it is difficult to answer the first question. All I can say is, if you want human factors to change mindset, there is a lot we need to do about design. There is a lot we need to do about workload. There's a lot we need to do in that space of providing resources. So long as we are not, and the industry is not, I wouldn't pick any particular company. The industry is not in that space of providing additional resources. And so my submission would be that unless and so long as we cannot provide adequate resources, because cognition is limited, our attention is limited. We don't have the mind space to take in everything. And from all the information that is coming into our mind, we are using, a very, very minuscule part of it. So given all of that, I think that bit of it becomes difficult for us to do unless and until you allow people the time and resources to do a thorough job. And that is where the ETTO concept of efficiency and thoroughness trade-off. So unless you are able to do that, I think it is wrong of us to expect people to not be distracted, to not be tired, to not be overworked. So once we are able to deal with that and give people resources, then maybe we can start talking about, people not losing focus. Coming to the second question, and exactly what you said. So Scorpio, I've been with Scorpio. They've been quite supportive in whatever we've been trying to do. And we do those sessions with the seafarers. our seminars are designed in a way that we allow seafarers to question us. We present scenarios to them. So ours is a very interactive sort of a seminar where we make sure that the seafarers leave the seminar after having felt heard, felt respected, rather than teaching. So we have reduced the amount of teaching or telling that we do in our seminars. So we've come from that space of, I can see there are seafarers, my own seafarers in this room now. So this is something that we've been trying to do. So yes, for the second part of the question, what you are saying is the way to go, allowing seafarers to see us become vulnerable, to see us saying that we make a mistake. And that is when I think they will realize and they will be able to open up a lot more with us. And this has been an attempt at Scorpio. At least for the last, 3 or 4 years, we've been trying to do that. How much is it actually going across? That's possibly for the seafarers to say, but I think there is a change. There is an acceptance that we are human beings on either side.
Thank you so much, Captain Abhijit. One thing I would just like to say, do you think that this interactive session with in the industry, across the industry, would be useful?
Yes. In fact, I won't reveal the name, but I have another company asking me about the same thing, about how do we go about doing this. And we are sort of talking about how do you do this. So yes, interactive sessions, allowing yourself to be vulnerable, showing that you're just as human as they are, as likely to make mistakes, decisions we have taken ashore that may have gone wrong, how we plan so many operations in a port that adds burden to a seafarer in Singapore, Rotterdam. So these are all things that we openly discuss in our seminars. We may not have solutions always, but we allow ourselves to become to vulnerable. And that's one way to say that, trust us. We are just like you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
1 minute, Captain Jageti sir. Jageti sir, 1 minute, sir. So
yeah.
He's been wanting to ask a question for a while.
Yeah.
Sorry, sir.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, Captain Ajay. My name is Captain Ram Karan. And one line hit me, like information is the currency to the safety. And after that, you took the name of the word trust. Trust is something like which sparks at which enhance this line information.
Yes.
Is the currency to the safety. Yes. And I read a book. Named Speed of Trust.
Okay.
Speed of Kavi. Correct. So speed of trust. So trust is something like we all, like you said, you are 49 and 38 and product of that. So this is something like if we can build that trust from shore to safe. Sometimes it happened like when I boarded the vessel. Sometimes I'm able to convince the guy when I'm doing investigations. And sometimes other superintendents are coming, other MDs are coming there. The seafarers, they are not open to that, those guys. And when we build that trust, they are very open.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
it definitely will enhance the safety.
Absolutely.
And I find that ship management companies or the shore and city staff, that trust is not up to the level like what it should have been.
I agree with that, and possibly
ship and shore, there is no trust on shore itself. There are so many, I'll tell you, this is a fact.
Correct, yeah.
And I am very open to this, that in between shore people also there is mistrust.
I don't know, somebody needs to be moderated. I don't know if JKT sir had his hand first. JKT sir.
Last question.
Yeah, hi. Good evening all. Abhijit, nice to see you. You deserted
Very
us.
nice to see you, sir.
And shifted to Mumbai. After that, did not seen you, but you're always welcome back, and you don't need to learn Marathi. Okay, I'm duty bound to tell you that England has lost 2 wickets for 109. Okay. Now you gave us a lot of funders, and as Captain Philip Matthews said, half of it is just gone, right through and through. So the question is, a lot of ships are being built now. Is any of these funders being used in shipbuilding? Are shipyards taking this seriously, or are the designers taking these things seriously, so that errors are, minimized. That's it.
So, thank you, sir. And that was something I was about to, I should have touched upon in my presentation. I missed talking about it. And what you say is sort of the problem. Because we do not have human factors experts in shipbuilding, in as a NEVA, in ship design. So while I said I'm part of a IEA, that is International Ergonomic Association's Technical Committee for Human Factors in Maritime. It's a very long name, but it basically is an ergonomics association where you have all those human factors and ergonomics experts come in and, we have this, I mean, we are just beginning to, we never had. There was aviation, there is medicine, I mean, healthcare, all of those technical committees are there. Maritime did not even have a human factors technical committee with the IEA. So they did not have, for example, OCIMF or any other organization, any other body. There was no authoritative body to advise them on HF or ergonomics. So for your question, in my knowledge, I don't think it is there. And that I think is a huge shortcoming. And I think that should be there. That shipbuilding and ship design should include human factors and ergonomics experts.
Okay, thank you, Abhijit. Hope to see you soon.
Yes, sir. We will see soon.
So that ergonomics thing is already covered in the model course where we do the resource management. Okay. If you look at the end sections, it is clearly defined. But the Norwegians and the Scandinavians who are building ships, they have taken on this in a much greater as compared to the run-of-the-mill ships which are coming from the east.
Every single human factors professional in the maritime industry I know is Scandinavian.
Scandinavian.
Everybody. Danish, Norwegian, Swedish.
Exactly.
And there is one Irish lady. Yeah. But otherwise everybody else is Scandinavian.
Yeah, because their ships are being manned by 6 people and they go around the fjords. So they have to have a really economic bridge control.
Yeah, so just continue the previous conversation which you had about trust. See, we employ people on qualification, but we dismiss them on behavior, right? So, and all what you're saying now is behavior based. When I say behavior, I don't say they mean behavior the way you perceive behavior. What I mean by behavior is be and have. Be the being human, being responsible, being accountable. And those are the areas which you have actually touched right now. So trust is also being done. Trust has got a mathematical formula. It's got loyalty, it's got openness, it's got integrity and competency. You mix all that, then people trust you. So, is there any work, maybe in Skopje done towards assessing people's behavioral competency before selecting them, the show staff and ship staff? And have you defined that Abhijit Balakrishnan required these type of behaviors to be a safety officer?
We have it for the, yes, we have a competency management system which looks at behaviors. I'm not familiar with it, so I will not comment on it, but I know that it is there. Yeah, thank you. I know that it is there, but I don't have more details about it, but I can get back to you, or I can get you in touch with my...
Your work should be integrated with that.
Sir,
yes, it is.
There is one more question coming from Sayyid Abidi. It says, on a broader perspective, is there any way CMMI and similar bodies like Nautical Institute can influence the future revisions of ISM code to incorporate safety too? Or is this already happening?
Asaf, I don't know if this is happening, but what I can tell you is once you have a formal committee like the IEA, if the IEA, if the HF Maritime HF committee forms and they become those experts, then I think they would be those people that the NGO that goes to IMO to sort of talk about human factors. I wouldn't want to talk about safety too, because that's just one sort of a terminology used by certain tribe, if I may, but it's more about system safety. It's about system thinking. It's about human factors. It's on a much broader scale. I wouldn't limit it to safety two. Safety two is a concept that's come out from one particular person, and but the idea is, I get the idea. So I think for this to happen, I think the IEA, the committee should form, and it should get some validation as an NGO to represent the maritime HF interests at IMO.
Okay, thank you, sir. I think we have spent a good 30 minutes on questions. So, Abhijit, you have done a great job.
Thank you, sir.
By opening up something which, quite a few things are new to us. And it has set our mind thinking as to how human factor and ergonomics can be connected, which wasn't the case before. We always looked at human factor as making mistakes, what you rightly said. So I take this opportunity on behalf of Master Captain Basin, your Secretary Captain Bhandarkar, and all the members of CMMI. I would like to propose a formal vote of thanks to you. Thanks for, first of all, compiling all this. Thanks for giving your time. And I would like to thank your bosses here, Mr. Manish Pradhan. And of course, we have been communicating with Shirish Lal. Shirish, right?
I have a Scorpio, sir. I'm not with Synergy.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks for that, and a beautiful place here, a beautiful venue with all these fancy connectivity. Thanks a lot. I'd also like to thank all the participants. I'd also like to thank the participants here who are sitting here. Plus, there are many more online. I think the number I saw was 44. So thanks everybody for being here. And we take this up. This subject is something which is, I would say, just the beginning, and it's going to come up in a big way in future. So with that, I thank all of you. And sorry guys, but we are going to have some snacks here now. Thanks to Synergy for that. And with that, we can close this meeting. Thank you.
Please wait.
Okay. You also come.
Well, I am only 29, my biological age.
So we'd like to present a small token of appreciation.
Whatever your guru, so please accept our humble,
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I will. Yeah, sure. Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to thank, I just want to thank people. I mean, I'm not able to respond to your chat, Captain Alapat and others I can't even see, but
Captain Philip.
So thank you all. And I can't read the comments, but I know that you mean, you wish me well. So thank you so much. And see you, soon.
Yes.